Hey folks, Isaac the Nothing Miller here. If you follow me on Google Plus or Facebook, then you've probably seen this before. This is Blake LeBlanc's Crabby Clouser. I learned about this fly through Jackson Kayak teammate Ben Russell. He posted this pattern as his fly of the month for September on his blog, mountainstomarsh.wordpress.com. The moment I saw it, I knew I had to start tying this up for winter steelhead here in the Pacific Northwest. The changes I've made are primarily color. For steelhead, I'm using a lot of pink on white. Other variations would be orange on white, blue on white, or black on blue. Probably the biggest single change I've done is I've switched to a trailer hook. I think this is really essential for steelhead because they're really well known for short striking. If you got a tail on a fly, they're going to bite the tail and not the hook. So I went with this trailer hook setup, and I think that's going to be ideal. The pattern is based on a Clouser Minnow, and as such is pretty simple to tie. So let's get started. With the eyes tied in, we're going to go ahead and tie in the trailer hook now. This is a Owner Mosquito hook size 2. I have it threaded just a loop to loop through the eye with 20-pound fluorocarbon. We want this to extend far enough back that we can change the hook out if we need to. If I change it out, I might change it up to the same hook, which is going to be the Owner Mosquito, or I might go with the Gamikatsu stinger hook, also in size 2. Pretty much the only time that you're going to need to do that is if you want to use a smaller or larger hook. Maybe you'd snag this up and the point's gotten a bit dull and you want to sharpen it back up. But I make sure I have plenty of mono here so I can tie down the length. Then I bring the mono around the eyes, pull it back through, and wrap that back down. And now these eyes, or this trailer hook, is not going to slip out. It's not going anywhere. There's no need to super glue the body, nothing like that. This is bulletproof and ain't nothing going to happen. And as you can see, I could probably use some new scissors one of these days. With that cinched down, we're going to tie in some Krystal flash. I have about, what do I have here? 4 strands of red, 2 strands of pearl, and these are going to be the antenna. This fly, if you hadn't noticed, resembles a shrimp, and I think it does so very well. And that's one of the reasons I got really excited about this fly when I first saw it, is that shrimp, just steelhead love them, big chinook love them. So I try to make sure, as much as I can, I use a lot of patterns that mimic a shrimp. They work great. With the flash tied in, we'll take a small pinch of white bucktail. Just select this bunch here. Get that cleaned out. Looks good. We want that to come, about where the end of the hook is. So I'm going to tie it in about that long. Give it a couple loose wraps. Looks good. Go ahead and tighten that end down. Come under the eyes. Come behind the eyes. Just make sure we keep control, and boom, perfect, just like that. Down the back of the hook. Come back down. That's secure, not going anywhere. We're going to pull all these ends up. We're going to clean these up at the end too. What's really nice about this fly is the bucktail. Bucktail does not absorb water, so you can cast this fly all day. Because it doesn't absorb water, it doesn't have a whole lot of resistance falling through the water column, so you don't need a whole lot of weight. In fact, I even tie this with some smaller eyes. I'll use some small tungsten or just smaller I-BALZ. Get some of that cinched down a bit. The one thing that's important with the Clouser is every time you pass around the eyes, you go underneath on the belly end, just so you can keep that hair exposed. It's just a nature of the game. Now, down at this end, we're going to tie in some Schlappen. This looks like a couple decent ones here. There we go. UV Schlappen is great if you have it. Same thing with the Bucktail. UV Bucktail if you've got it. Great options. UV really stands out in the water, and I think it's awesome to have. In fact, I'll show you how I add some flash to this later. Boom, we got that in. And now we're going to tie in some legs. These are purple and pink Sili legs. You can use barred crazy legs, just solid color legs, but I'm a big fan of these. And we want these to hang down. We want a little more than the body length. Tie that right on top with a couple of loops. There we go. And then we're going to splay these out. I can get a hold of it without the bucktail. As you probably noticed with that fast forward, these Sili legs can get, well, silly. They like to do whatever they want and go all over the place. Now that I got my line, my thread back to the rear, I'm going to secure these out of the way for a little bit. And I just use a little bit of wire, cinch them down right behind the eye, and I can keep going from here. I'm going to do this a couple of times, but now that we're at this point, it's time for some dubbing. For that, I like my UV ice dub. This is a pearl color, and the idea here is as things flutter in the water, this pearl belly will really just shine and bring on the fish. Really makes flies stand out. So anytime you can use UV, do it. I mean, UV bucktail, UV Schlappen, all of it. It's really good. You know, marabou, if you're tying marabou patterns, use the UV marabou. Do a little ball there between the legs, and this is also going to really help me position the legs, as I'll have something giving them a little bit of force and making them go where I want them to. Just use my bodkin there, my needle, and separate it out that pair of legs from the rest, from underneath the wire. And I just keep on dubbing and separating, dubbing and separating. Okay, we got the body dubbed out. Looks real good there. I just dropped my wire. Grab another piece here. We're going to tie these legs back up, out of the way again. And now we're going to go ahead and palmer our Schlappen, what we want to do to start off is make sure we get all this feather pulled back so that it lays the right direction. And grab our bodkin and do the same thing as before. It's just pull the legs out. Got him down good this time. And Palmer. There we are. Secure that end down. Now what I did with my scissors. Tip that tip off, and we're looking perfect there. That is awesome. A couple more wraps, and I'll even grab another pinch of dubbing here. Just the time, well, just a little bit more than that. There we are. We're going to wrap this right behind the eyes. That's just going to help make sure everything gets splayed towards the rear of the hook. Just like that. And we'll come back around and on top. Now, if you don't have a rotary vise, it's time to flip the hook over. If you do have a rotary vise, flip the hook over. We'll just clean things up here a little bit. This is just the butt ends from the first bit of bucktail. No need to go real crazy because we're going to be adding a whole lot more thread and we got more bucktail. What I like to do at this point is come through, separate the Schlappen top, from side to side. We're just going to pull that on down. A little bit of spit helps. See, we got a very shrimpy looking bunch of legs here. We got the rubber legs, all the little spinnerets or whatever they call them on shrimp. It's going to be awesome in the water. We got the UV dubbing coming through, and actually I can pick some of that out for buggier appearance. This helps create some flash, get this fly noticed. Something like that. Now, like I said, we got our pink bucktail. Might hit the floor. Grab a good clump here. Nice long clump. Let's see what I got. This clump's going to be a little bit bigger. Now it's time to size that up. This clump's going to be a little bit bigger than the bottom clump. It's definitely going to be longer than the other because we want this to really stick out and cover the whole thing and act like the wing. So I'm just going to clean up these ends. Got things measured out. Looks alright. Really need to try that again. There we go. Keep it good. Good hold there. And then we can pull tight. Get that cinched down. Boom. Now it's just a matter of forming the head. And that's a whole lot of wraps. Especially if you're using 8/0 Vivus thread like I am. If you're not using Vivus thread, then you're probably using a 6/0 or 140 denier thread. This Vivus is super strong, and it's really thin. Really nice stuff. Except when it comes to filling in heads like this, because then it takes a lot of thread wraps. There we go. With a couple whip finishes, just like that. Boom. Ouch. Boom. There it is. Ah. Anyway. Boom. The Crabby Clouser, steelhead style. This is going to flow real well in the water. It's going to sink really well. And I'm planning on it catching me a lot of fish this year. Only thing left to do, cut that end off, cement the head, and we're good to go. I'm Isaac the Nothing Miller. Hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.